Hey, how are y'all doing? So I'm 3-0 for the day, which is really good. But this last trade isn't as good as I thought, which I'll just talk about it when I get to it. You might be able to tell what I'm talking about, but I'll just talk about it when I get to it. Now, I had this trade right here marked with the risk to reward tool on the site when I posted my chart at 10, but I didn't want to make it seem like I took this trade. I actually did not take this trade, but I could see why someone would think I took that trade because I had it marked with the risk to reward tool, but I just happened to be looking at it and I forgot to delete it before I posted the chart, but I didn't actually enter right here. But yeah, I just quickly want to mention I mentioned this last video, but it was at the very end, and I want to mention this at the beginning for anyone who doesn't watch the last few seconds. But I lowered the price of the site from 48 down to 24, which is, I'm glad I did it because it's a more fair price. Now, when I made it 48, my plan was to really make it worth $48 a month, but like even with the community and with the answering people's questions individually, I still don't think it's worth 48. I think 24 is a much more fair price to pay per month. So yeah, I'm just gonna do 24. So yeah, I wish I didn't even make it 48. 48 is just way too much. But so yeah, the price is lowered for anyone who's interested. But so yeah, let's get into this. We have the overnight highs here, the overnight lows here. They're pretty easy to find. It's just this one leg here and then bounce here. That's what forms it. And so I came in around 8, started looking at the chart around 8. We were in this congestion right here. It was later. It was like 8:20s when I started looking at it. But we were in this congestion right here, which is not really congestion, but you know what I mean. We were going back and forth above the EMA, and it was a little bit slower in the morning. But anyway, we have uptrend, break, new high. But what I see here is I see one leg up here. It's pretty obvious. I just see one leg up, one push up. But I can't deny the fact that there is an uptrend with a break and a new high. And so if you rush below the EMA and start actually getting entries, then it's perfectly safe to go short because the uptrend did play out. But I'm just saying you can possibly get a second measured leg like that. Now, it is played out, so you can look for shorts. I don't see any shorts here that are particularly good before we start turning higher. Now, if you look at this second entry here, you can see it. First entry short, second entry short, downtrend, break, expecting a new low, EMA held, uptrend played out. Now, I didn't take it, one, because I just was barely not trading at this time. I was trading right after that. But even if I was trading at this time, I would have avoided it because it looks so short term to me, and I think I need to start getting used to some of these and maybe going for 1-to-1 on them because I mainly just go 1-to-2. But let me draw this here. So I'm going to make that 1-to-1. And then you'd get out right before these lows here. So looking at it, it doesn't even look that bad. It's a second entry short. It's short term, but that's a pretty short term target. And you get out right before these lows here. So I actually do think that looks pretty good for 1-to-1. Now, it's not a swing trade. It's not something I would try to, because it's not at a major area, like a major context area. Like the uptrend played out, and then you're rushing below the EMA, and so you would often get a reversal pattern there, and you can kind of see the legs like, you get, assuming that you count this as like a spiking channel, you can see it's like a first entry long, second entry long failure. So it's a failed second entry, but to me it's really just because here's how I would look at it. Like downtrend, break, first attempt lower, second attempt lower, but it's very short term, so maybe just 1-to-1 getting out before these lows. But I just thought I'd talk about that because one way that my trading can improve is if I can start to take some shorter term trades. I would still never go less than 1-to-1, but anyway. So we do start to get this next leg up here. We push higher, we get the break, first attempt higher, but now we're just in this range, so it really, it's stuck in this structure, so it would be like first attempt higher, second attempt higher, but I wouldn't actually count that as the second attempt higher because it's still stuck within the same structure. So it's like uptrend, break, first attempt higher, and then this second attempt higher down here once we break the structure and push back through it. So that's it on a short term, but really it's just uptrend, break, new high. And then I marked that area because you can clearly tell that there's something there. I mean, you have one leg up, you have a break, you have a measured move target up here. It hasn't reached the measured move yet. Then you get this range breakout, and most range breakouts will fail. Now, the reason I didn't take this trade, and I'm starting to think maybe I should have, but the reason I didn't take it was because I was thinking, even though these aren't measured, we do have two legs up, and then we're already pushing below the EMA. Now, that's not uncommon to push below the EMA when breaking out of range and then it failing anyway just fine. So honestly, I think I maybe should have taken this. If I draw a short-term trend line, you can kind of, yeah, it basically closes in, but you can, I mean, it completely closes in, but you can almost see it has an overshoot if you put the, you know, the lows to there off that first body. But really, I was just thinking, okay, two legs up, and I would have been much more okay with it if the EMA was already in the middle of this range, getting chopped around. I was just kind of worried because it looked like it was holding, and then it just pushed below after these two legs up. So, you know, I avoided it, but I probably shouldn't have. So my first trade is actually up here at the exact measured move. So just to be sure, I'm going to copy this over again. So that is basically to the tick. It might have gone one tick higher. It's a measured move, perfect to the tick, two legs up, and then you get this short-term trend line here, and then this entry right here closes outside of it. You barely get a close out of this short-term uptrend. Now remember, this uptrend right here does not need to have a break and a new high because it's the second leg up. You have two clear legs up, so this is basically uptrend, break, new high, and so then this whole two-legged move right here is the move to the new high for this uptrend right here. And so that's kind of how I'm looking at it, or that's exactly how I'm looking at it. Now, so if it's the move to the new high, it just needs a closeout. It doesn't have to play out completely like it's its own trend. You know what I mean? And now that we get to this part, I do want to mention my computer randomly restarted by itself since I was trading and then making this video. And when I entered, there was actually a red body on it, so it shouldn't be too different than the chart that I posted on the thing, but everything is a little tiny bit different. So I just thought I'd mention that for anyone, you know, who saw my chart on the site and can look at it now. But so that was my first trade. It's basically just two perfect legs up, measured legs, and yeah. So we push lower here. We go into this little downtrend. I don't know why I deleted it. But we go into this downtrend here. We have a break, first attempt to a new low, and then it rushes above the EMA, and then the second attempt ends up working. But you can already, let me zoom out here. So after the two legs up, and then rush below the EMA, that's very typical, and then you get a big picture reversal pattern. So you can really see it here. Downtrend, break, first attempt lower, second attempt lower. Except the only problem is that it is rushing back above the EMA both times, and I mean rushing above the EMA both times. So it's not something I would really want to go short at all. I don't know why I said really. What I mean is that's not something that I would at all want to short at. But we go into this downtrend here. We push on lower. We finally get this. These corrections are just shallow. It's like you don't want to take them. They're so far away from the EMA. Then you finally break this trend line here. Now, even though you have these two legs down, this leg is significantly bigger than this leg down here. So I would just consider this its own new trend. Not necessarily two legs down, but more like a spiking channel kind of. And so we're in this channel. Then finally we break the channel. We start pushing to the EMA, but we don't quite reach the EMA. There's not a good trade to take there. It's just this uptrend that barely has a break. You don't know that it's going to go down from there. I mean, if you have it there, it's like that's not a good entry to go short. That's just buying. I mean, that's just shorting really low. And you know, the uptrend, it would be nice to see this uptrend break and then at least an attempt higher at the EMA. That would be a whole lot better, but you just don't really get anything here. So we have a push down, we correct to the EMA again, it gets very choppy just after a couple bars. There's no way that you can enter that but we already start to get this new downtrend here, and then we push lower, basically confirms the lows if you have it right off that body, and then a first entry off the EMA and trend line, third confirming bounce off this trend line here. But here's the thing, you got this short-term uptrend in play. Now, depending on how you look at it, you might see a tiny overshoot there because you'd put your highs of this short-term trend line to that body right there. So it does technically have an overshoot. I still wouldn't take it. It's just, I would be worried about it. You know, it is still just a first entry is also my point. And then you got these couple legs down here, and so I wouldn't take it as a failed second entry either. But really, it's just a third confirming bounce with STT, and that it could just be like that. So I don't know. I would just avoid it. So then we push lower. We're off the overnight lows at this point. We actually barely break out just a little bit, and then we fade back in. Really, that's just a bounce. That's so short term. That's just basically a bounce. Then we have this higher low, and then once we do get back to the trend line here, I mean, I'm not going to short that. I mean, it's directly into these lows. It's probably going to bounce, which it ends up bouncing right off of it. You don't want to short directly into the lows. You know, aside from that, it's also not good to go short right after bouncing off the overnight lows itself, because you know, when you come off the lows, you are expected to reach the other side. Now, even though we had the downtrend in play, I wouldn't bet on this much more big key entry point, the overnight low, over this barely formed channel right here. You know what I mean? I wouldn't want to short that. So anyway, we got a couple legs up here. It's pretty easy to see them if you get these drawn right here. You can see we get a couple legs up. Then we turn down pretty fast. We go back below the EMA, get this lower high directly into the lows. No way that you can take that. No good signal bar either. Get a couple legs down. We go back up. It really just gets congestive. I probably should have gotten a range drawn. I didn't even draw one in real time for this, but yeah, we basically just get really congestive, and then I draw this next downtrend here. There's no way that you can go short in that range, and you get this breakout pullback of the overnight low. It's very short term. That's not a full breakout pullback of the overnight low because it's still within this trend. For it to be a real breakout pullback of the overnight low, it would actually have to break the trend. But it's clearly a breakout pullback for this short term range here. Now, I would not take this. This just looks very sideways. It is the third confirming bounce right here off this trend line right here, but it just looks like such a sketchy area, and I don't want to be vague just by saying it looks sketchy, but it's, it does got two legs up, but it's closing above the EMA both times. It's just a confusing area, to be honest with you. So I would just avoid it. And then, you can see it barely closes back below the EMA, but it's just not worth taking in that area. So anyway, I'm just going to get out of that. So we're in this downtrend. It reacts off of it a third time, but we do push out of it. We go into this little uptrend here. We get this uptrend, break, expecting a new high. Now, I think I saw that someone went long there, but I didn't get a setup. I didn't get a good setup there. They had a better setup. I didn't completely like their setup still, but the context is pretty good. The downtrend just played out. You can basically see it as downtrend, break, and then two legs to a new low. It's a little bit awkward looking at it like that. You can also see it as just downtrend, break, new low. No matter how you look at it, it'll get you to the same place. Clearly, there's a downtrend that played out here at the lows and is now reversing higher. Then you get this reversal pattern on a big picture, because you can see the failed second entry, the first entry short, second entry short failure, but that's all within the same trend. I'm not going to take a reversal pattern that's in the same trend, but the context right here is good, because uptrend, break, expecting a new high. You have uptrend, break, first attempt higher, and then this little tiny push lower, and then second attempt higher. So I would like to see it actually have a second leg down there, so that way you can it's just a full-on reversal pattern on a big picture, but you don't quite get that, at least on my chart. But it is, it's at an area you'd expect a reversal, which is right after the breakout of the overnight low, rushing back in. Perfect place to expect a reversal pattern. Uptrend, break, expecting new high. I don't get a setup, but clearly there's an area. It's a reversal area. So then we go into this wider uptrend, which I drew, and then this trade right here, I really want to talk about this trade because I was actually excited to take this trade. So the uptrend has a break. It's expecting a new high, and then we have 2 legs down. Now they're not quite measured, but they're clearly relative in size to each other. They're clearly connected. And so if you draw this, here's the thing. I took this long and I did not enter there. Some people were asking why. There was someone else that took this trade alongside me, basically. Not because we like coordinated, took it together or anything, but we just happened to both post this trade at the same time. And he also took this bar. I noticed that someone else had entered on this bar and they were wondering why we entered on this bar, and it's because we had this downtrend in play right here, this short-term downtrend, and it was blocking that entry, and we just wanted something with a closeout, and so this is really the only entry we got. But the context is we have an uptrend, we're expecting prices to make a new high, we just came off the overnight low, so we're really expecting to get to the other side of the range. 2 legs down, that's like, and it is below the EMA, but this is a particular type of pattern that I've been seeing more often, which is an uptrend and then a break with 2 clear legs down, and then it reversing, and then entering below the EMA after all the STT is out of play. It's kind of like picking a bottom, but it's I can tell the context is good, is why I would take that. So just to recap it, uptrend, break, expecting a new high, 2 legs down, out of the short-term trend line, close out, great trade. Now, I do want to address, I saw that someone entered right here, so I don't remember who it was. I would mention your name, though. I think it was Rick, but I don't remember. But he went long here, and here's the problem with it. Now, it's not just because it has this short-term trend line in play. Now, that is basically a big reason why. But another reason why I don't like that is because if you look at just those 2 legs there, those are not... I mean, you can still tell that they're pretty relative in size, but it's like that looks quite a bit smaller. That looks about half the size. It is a little bit more than half, but it looks about half the size, especially with that big wick being, a big part of it. So they just don't look, it doesn't look like 2 perfect legs down, but then here, it's like that's just pretty significantly bigger, especially because those bodies kind of fill in for that wick there. It looks like more like 2 legs down, just looks a little bit more clear. So it's basically, I didn't want to go long there because of the short-term trend line and the fact that I kind of wanted a slightly longer second leg down. But, so that's what I'm thinking there. We push higher, we make the new high, so you get the uptrend break, new high, and then first entry long, second entry long. I did not want to take it because the uptrend had just played out, and so the uptrend played out about halfway through this range, which means that we could get a bearish imbalance, especially because it's already making lower high from this. This uptrend played out before reaching the overnight high, and then it just happened again. So I'm kind of thinking, okay, it seems like we're losing momentum, and then even though we got a second entry, to me that just looks like 1 leg down. So I don't actually see a second entry there, at least on the level that I trade. I don't mean skill level. I mean, like big picture, like looking at it on the price action on a bigger level. I don't want to take that short-term stuff. Maybe that's probably high probability for a scalp. It probably is. I don't know, but I want to see 2 actual legs down, and by the time that you get 2 clear legs down, you're already below the EMA, which you would expect a reversal because the uptrend just played out. We've been making these lower highs, so it's not a good idea to buy right below as it's rushing below the EMA. It's not a good idea to buy there. It's better to wait on a reversal. But I didn't take a reversal either here. There's nothing quite worth taking. I didn't want to enter short right there. I definitely didn't want to enter on that bar. I didn't even consider that. But then this, it's too big, and then it kind of looks sideways. It's just not worth taking, in my opinion. And not to mention the 2 legs down already. Downtrend break, first attempt lower. By the time you're entering on the second attempt lower, it's like already all the way down here. So not very good. Maybe if you got a higher up entry, it could have been better. But we make this low, push up against the EMA, we reject it, just a first entry. Second attempt to get through, we make it through, we get these couple legs up, and really what I was thinking is uptrend break, first leg higher, second leg higher. It didn't quite reach it, which is another sign of bearish imbalance. It went a little bit higher, but at this point it's definitely played out. It's not just a leg to a new high, it's two legs that are relative in size, not quite measured, but still relative in size, and then pushing back below the EMA. Like, that is part of why I felt bad for taking this trade, for going for such a big target, because we had such a clear bearish imbalance. And when I took this trade, which I'm going to go over this stuff, I'm not going to skip over it, but when I took this trade, I was thinking of it as a repeat pattern of this trade, which is kind of what, ended up making me want to go for the full target still. But I should have been a little bit more mindful of the bearish imbalance, but I just thought of it as the same thing. Just like here, we had uptrend break, first attempt higher, entering on second attempt higher. Here we have uptrend break, first attempt higher, entering on second attempt higher. Two legs down here, clear. Two clear legs down here, and then it even makes a new low from that leg right there. So the downtrend played out with a break and a new low. So that's what I was thinking there. And then it was a repeat pattern. It doesn't quite look as good because the EMA held it, prices down a little bit better here. Here they kind of went straight above and even held above for a little bit. But it's still, you can still see it's basically like the same kind of trade right there. But that's what I was thinking when I took it. But I don't want to skip over anything. So after we make that leg up, we just rush below the EMA. We get this downtrend here. Let me adjust this. Oh, that's right. I ended up leaving it off of that one on purpose. So at first we just get this this thin downtrend here. It's very thin downtrend break, couple legs down to a new low. And that might be the correct one actually. I think I'm going to leave it like that. I think that looks a little better. But we have downtrend break, a couple legs down to a new low. Let me get these drawn. And those are measured. I didn't even notice that in real time, to be honest with you. But the downtrend has a break, two measured legs down to a new low, to the tick, and then reverses back successfully above the EMA. So, after we got those, after this, so basically what I saw is we're in this downtrend break, new low, reversal. That's kind of what I saw. But at first, we got this, and I was looking for a reversal pattern to go higher, but we got this uptrend break, expecting a new high. That's really, to me, that's really just a higher low, even though there's technically a couple ticks lower. I trade on the big picture, like I mentioned all the time. I want to see two clear legs down in order to take a failed second entry. So this is just a higher low that is really big to me. It was a little bit different earlier before my computer restarted by itself. I need to fix that. I still haven't fixed that. But as of what I'm seeing right here, it's just a higher low, and I would probably want something a little bit better, especially considering the bearish imbalance here. So, because higher lows generally are momentum setups, and you could say there's probably a lot of momentum that sprang off the overnight low here, and that could be true, but I generally like to take just higher lows when it's trending. But even if this was a failed second entry, just say that there was a attempt down there, and then this is just what I'm left with. That just, maybe I'm judging it too hard, but this is just one of those trades I can't really put my finger on, but it just looks like something I'd avoid. Either way, I would want something, I would want something two legs back, looks more like a failed second entry, more clear as a reversal pattern instead of just a higher low. But it's not a terrible context entry. I mean, it's not the best context given the bearish imbalance, but yeah, a higher low with a bearish imbalance, I don't know about that. That kind of seems a little bit aggressive, which this is also aggressive, but it doesn't mean that this one isn't just because I took it. So we have a couple legs up here, and then we go into this downtrend right here. So the uptrend already played out again, which you can definitely say that there's a bigger uptrend here, which I think there is. I really do think that that's the valid uptrend. It holds really well, and then it holds again there before breaking. But you do clearly get 2 legs up and then a rush below the EMA. So, that is even more sign of a bearish imbalance. But what I took here, I took the repeat pattern from over here. I should have just done 1-to-1 since I entered on it. If I did 1-to-1, then I would have gone out a little bit past the EMA. I would have got out really fast, and yeah, but just given how bearish it was, I shouldn't have been going for 1-to-2. That's kind of a big target given what I was taking, or given the context, I mean. But either way, you still get the 2 legs down. You're expecting a new high for the uptrend. I'm entering on the second attempt out of STT. Perfect timing. Got perfect timing there, perfect timing there. So I feel pretty good. But we push higher. We barely fill my target before rushing back down. Get a couple legs down, back to the overnight low. No way I'm thinking about buying here. At this point, I'm completely done with buying because it's so obvious to me now, and I already felt bad just for going for such a big target, being way too greedy. But at this point, I've already learned my lesson. There's no way I'm going to be buying here. And I would have actually made money there, but that is not a good setup. It is so bearish at this point. But we get these 2 legs down off the overnight low. Decent signal bar there. It's not horrible, but it basically closed it right in the middle. But then you get that, which is a lot better. Not worth taking, too bearish. We get a couple legs up. Uptrend already played out again. Lower highs, lower highs. Definitely don't want to buy there, just because of the same reason. We push on down. Now we get this bigger little downtrend here, which I did take a break. I probably haven't traded for 30 minutes. So there's some stuff that went by without me here, but let's see. It looks like we got this short-term uptrend attempting to fade. Held down by the EMA, barely got above, immediately rushes back below and holds lower. Get a couple legs down here, pretty easy to see. Leg down, break, second leg down before reversing back higher. Now we got this uptrend, break, expecting a new high. We make the new high, EMA holds again. Looks like we're going into this larger uptrend here. And yeah, so it looks like it's holding. We could reverse here. I don't know. Let's see if we can get something bigger here, actually. Nah, that's too big. What about from here? Ooh. I guess we'll see how it reacts off of it. I'm going to end the video here. I don't know how valid this is, but, clearly there's some sort of resistance right there. It could end up holding. It might break through. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and end the video here. Hope you all enjoyed this video. Hope you all learned something. And yeah, I hope this review is good. I hope I didn't skip over anything on accident. But anyway, I'll see y'all next time.